Okay, right, day 2.
I think I need to finish beams. Collect. Whoa.
Is it weird to keep bread in the freezer? So, maybe a bit of this and Marmite. This marmalade is unbelievably good. This is the perfect way to start the day. While I'm here, I'll tell you a little bit about the kitchen. This kitchen was here when we moved in. It's perfectly livable, but it's not got much personality. I need to have a think about what to do with this kitchen because, like I said, it's totally livable. Everything's pretty new, and it seems so wasteful to just tear everything out. So I might just do, you know, like maybe a veneer on the front, handle replacement. Might cover this. I've actually got a really nice copper hood that hopefully fits over the existing extractor fan. And I was also thinking changing the worktop. However, it's a lovely wooden worktop, probably just needs a restain. But I do really personally love, you know, the idea of having stainless steel, although maybe it will make it look too much like a commercial kitchen. Stainless steel, I think you have to be quite careful with the execution because sometimes it can end up looking a bit too much of a restaurant rather than upmarket home. And I need to decide what to do about the backsplash because I definitely won't keep these black tiles. But I'll show you the full kitchen and share more of my ideas and plans and whatnots in a future video. So in my last vlog, I was saying that the cable for the festival was a bit dodgy. We've given it a bit of a jiggle, and basically I turn it on. Generally, it doesn't work when it's like this, but when it's upside down, still a bit temperamental, but it's quite consistent when it's upside down. Okay, let's go. Okay, right. I actually can't be asked to have this problem again. Long, this is so long. I wonder how much it would actually be to go out and buy. Let me try to tape this again with some electrical tape. When I am standing on the floorboards at ground level, it works. And then when I get up the ladder, it stops working. Okay, I'm gonna take this electrical tape, put it on the top of the ladder, and if it doesn't work, I'll deal with it when I am up there. Okay, this really isn't working, even when I've taped it. It's just so intermittent. So I'm gonna pop to the shop and buy a new cable, and hopefully that will be the end to this problem. Whee! Quickly emptying the car with some supplies that I bought to re-render the wall by the front door. The tool shop for the cable is on the way to the tip, so I decided to do a little tip run just to make some space for the floor sanding this weekend.
These ones for sheeting, aren't they?
Damn, look at all this waste. Because I'm out doing errands anyway, I'm going to collect up the floor sander for the weekend.
So that's now sanding. That's on the floor. And then the reverse, to stop it, is pull this up so it clicks in. So it's now off the floor, release, and let the machine stop.
Let's try this new cable. Fingers crossed. We're back in action. Oi, I'm blasting through this now. So I managed to get a bit more of the sanding done of the ceiling beams. Didn't manage to finish it, but let's have a look. I can cross this off. Okay, and that is the only thing I can cross off. I'll check in tomorrow. Good morning, it is the weekend, so it's time for sanding. I'm just having some porridge with some frozen fruit. Actually, let me show you. Very nice. So I've also got this huge mug again, but here we go. So we ordered some sanding discs for the edge sander, but it hasn't arrived yet. Hopefully it arrives today. That's when it's planned. So we're going to start doing the bulk of the work with this, and I'm going to clear out the hallway because I have not done that. I've just spotted some high slithers, so I'm just going to cut them back. We decided to slither the floorboards because the gaps between the boards were quite thick and we wanted a really lovely professional finish. If your gaps are a bit smaller, you can use a mix of PVA and sawdust or a floor coloured filler. Our flooring has some uneven areas, so for a more consistent finish, we decided to begin sanding diagonally to help achieve this. Starting diagonally reduces the risk of leaving visible sanding marks or grooves in the wood, and minimises the risk of creating scratches that run with the grain or in obvious patterns. It also helps get into the corners and along the edges more effectively, which is where sanding can often be the trickiest. When using the floor sander, make sure that you slightly overlap your strokes, ensuring full coverage and consistency. So we only did one layer of sanding diagonally. That was with the first grit that we decided to use, which was the 24 grit. We decided to start with that because the varnish was especially tacky and it was clogging up all the grit papers. Most flooring you can just start with a 40. However, don't be tempted to skip a grit level. Each grit is designed to remove the scratches left by the previous grit. If you skip one, the finer paper can't remove the deeper scratches, so they stay visible, often showing up after the finish is applied. So take your time and follow the process.
We used the Bonner Scorpion floor sander, which I highly recommend. The belts are super easy to change and it makes such a difference, especially when you're doing a job like this. It's so important to keep in the flow of it. If you're having to stop and start constantly, a 2-day job could easily turn into a 1-week job. The grit levels we used were 24, 40, 60, 80 and 120. Finishing the sanding process at 120 grit truly is the sweet spot. It will soak in stains evenly and reduces the risk of blotching and lap marks. Finishing at a finer grit at 180 or above is going to give very little visual improvement, and finer grits start compressing the fibres, whereas you still want it to cut into the flooring so it will absorb the stain nicely. For areas that can't be reached by the floor sander, I went in with an orbital sander with the same starting grit that we had for the floor sander. In our case, that's 24 grit. We only needed to do one pass of the orbital sander to remove this very stubborn top layer of varnish. After the initial diagonal passes with the floor sander, we went in with horizontal sanding. Between each horizontal grit pass, we went in with the edge sander. So after we did that initial diagonal 24 grit floor sander pass, we then did horizontal floor sander, then edge sander, horizontal floor sander, then edge sander, then horizontal floor sander, then edge sander. And we continued that process until we finished with 120 grit on the edge sander.
So we're done for today. I'll show you the result. Oh, it looks really good. It's nice having a lighter floor. It feels warmer and more inviting. And then we go again tomorrow.